very excited.
That was actually a really strong play, yeah. And guess what? We're going to go straight right into the seniors finals. No breaks whatsoever needed. We're amped up off our coffee, aren't we?
Yeah.
If you guys see me jittering, that's because of the coffee. It was a nice morning. We're well rested, and now here we are. Seniors finals: Joshua Stewart versus Andrew Boudreau. We already know the team from Josh. It's going to be the Togedemaru, the Snorlax, the Tapu Fini, the Landers Therian, the Cresselia, and the Charizard. Over on the other side, Andrew going to be running Kartana, Tapu Lele, Landers Therian, Cresselia, Amoonguss, and Charizard. So a Kartana is going to hit the field, and that's going to be the steel type of choice for Andrew.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kartana's Pokemon we don't see quite as often in this 2018 format as we did in the 2017 format, especially now with Incineroar intimidating it and threatening that Flare Blitz all the time. Took another dip there. But both teams have a lot of the same in Pokemon. We have the Landorus, Charizard, and Cresselia as a kind of core on both sides, just different support around them. A different Tapu, bringing Psychic Terrain with Tapu Lele for Andrew versus that Misty Terrain from Tapu Fini on Joshua's side. And different steel, Togedemaru versus Kartana, and then the Snorlax, I think, could be the game changer here. Snorlax can be much more aggressive in Trick Room than that Amoonguss can, especially if Tapu Fini is also down, putting down that Misty Terrain and preventing any spores from coming out. And that could be the Trick Room mode that Joshua needs to really deal with all these fast Pokemon on Andrew's side.
Yeah, we never actually kind of saw what Josh's Snorlax was. We weren't sure. Yeah. We're not sure if it's like you said, it's either the Curse variant, maybe it's the Stockpile Belly Drum variant, or it's the Belly Drum variant. So that's one of the great things about Snorlax. You can have 3 different sets because, well, Snorlax can just so easily set up. But one of the things is Kartana was a pretty decent answer to Snorlax in 2017 because Sacred Sword would bypass any defense boost. So here we go, jumping into Game 1 of the Seniors Finals, Togedemaru and I believe the Landers Therian as Tapu Lele and Charizard are the leads that Andrew decides to go with here. It is going to intimidate pretty much nothing. Tapu Lele's Psychic Surge is going to activate, the battlefield gets weird, and Landorus Intimidate is going to follow suit. So now we know that Tapu Lele is faster than the Landorus.
Yeah, that's important to know. That means that Tapu Lele, if it's holding something like that, Psychium Z is threatening the KO straight off the bat. Even in this Psychic Terrain, that Togedemaru can land Fake Out onto Charizard, so you don't have to worry about Heat Wave this turn if you don't want to. You can just prevent that, but of course that just means Tapu Lele is attacking, and like you mentioned, with it being faster than Landorus, a dangerous position in its own right. So definitely Joshua's on the back foot here, going to have to be having to look to find a new field position that lets him deal with these Pokemon.
Tapu Lele is going to switch out. Landers Therian is going to go ahead and take the field. That is going to be a big intimidate because Togedemaru actually often opts to be a physical attacker with that Zing Zap. And it is also going to weaken that Landers Therian as well over on the other side to allow Charizard to possibly survive a Rock Slide if that's what Josh has on his Landers Therian. Charizard going to go ahead and Mega Evolve here. On Andrew's side, it is going to be the Charizard Y variant here. Going to take out that Sun and get ready to go for some powerful fire-boosted attacks unless that Togedemaru has anything to say about it.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if a Fake Out comes out, and it does.
Fake Out lands into that Charizard, so now Josh's side is going to get a free move. It is going to be, ooh, that's tough to see. It's a Tectonic Rage into 2 flying types.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter where it's going. Both of those Pokemon on the other side are flying, probably looking to get the KO onto Tapu Lele. Instead, it's going into that Landorus that just switched in and doing no damage at all.
Wow, that's a blown Z move right there.
And it always stings to use your Z move into an immunity right there on turn 1 and know you're going to have to play the whole rest of the game because not much else happened in that turn. Pretty much the whole game, just down your Z move compared to your opponent. And with 2 intimidated Pokemon now, neither Togedemaru or Landorus wants to be intimidated. You're looking at much less damage from that Zing Zap, that Rock Slide versus Charizard. That means it's going to be a lot easier to continue to put out those Heat Waves. Joshua's going to need to find, hopefully his Tapu Fini in the back, something to take those Heat Waves and start manipulating his field position to something he can more easily work with.
One switch, and Andrew just had so much advantage because that Landorus went into that Tapu Lele slot. Charizard on Josh's side is going to go ahead and take the field. It is not Mega Evolved yet, so it doesn't get that stat boost that it really enjoys. Charizard over on Andrew's side using Heat Wave. It is going to connect on Togedemaru. It is going to go ahead and activate that Focus Sash on the Togedemaru. Going to go ahead and let it survive with just 1 hit point. As Togedemaru goes for a Zing Zap, that is going to be fair damage. It is super effective on that Charizard. That is a lot of damage there, despite being intimidated as Landorus goes for an Earthquake. Not going to matter. Going to go ahead and get the KO. All of 1 damage on that Togedemaru.
Yeah, so a pretty good turn there for Andrew. I think takes advantage of his advantage in field position and gets the KO onto Togedemaru and like 40% onto Charizard. Does give up more health than I would have expected on the Charizard in the process. That Zing Zap coming out very powerful, doing like 60% to Charizard, maybe would have been the KO had
no Intimidate, yeah.
Yeah, had Landorus not intimidated it. And the Togedemaru being faster than the Landorus, kind of what you'd expect, but still an important piece of information.
Yep, Landorus Therian over on Josh's side takes the field. That is going to be a big Intimidate for the Landorus Therian over on Andrew's side, but, you know, that residual chip damage actually might even have Charizard over on Josh's side in KO range of that Rock Slide.
Yeah, I would expect both Charizards are in KO range for Rock Slide. We'll have to see which Landorus moves first. Maybe they'll just both get their Rock Slides off. Neither Charizard has to feel too comfortable in the field right now.
And now Charizard over on Josh's side, Mega Evolving here. Going to try to get that stat boost. It can go for a powerful Heat Wave. Not sure the item on Andrew's Landorus just yet, as Charizard on Josh's side moves first. Landorus dodges the Heat Wave, though. Big avoid as Charizard over on Andrew's side gets KO'd by the Heat Wave. So now is Josh going to be able to Rock Slide flinch Andrews. Landorus over on Josh's side actually goes straight for a Swords Dance here instead. That's a move that we actually saw yesterday in the Masters division. So that's a pretty strong set as Landorus Therian over on Andrew's side uses Rock Slide, connects on Charizard and Landorus Therian over on Josh's side. Yeah.
Yeah, so both Charizards go down, but the Landorus on Joshua's side gets the Sword Stance in the process. Joshua would have benefited even more from the big chunk of damage from that Landorus from Heat Wave had it hit, but because it missed, that's kind of the net effect of the turn. 2 Charizards down and a Swords Dance up.
Oh, that's unfortunate for Josh because Kartana hits the field right when Tapu Fini hits the field as well. If there's one Pokemon that Tapu Fini does not enjoy facing off against, it's definitely Kartana.
Yeah, and we just saw in the previous game that Tapu Fini is Choice Specs, and with nothing left in the back, it has nowhere to go. It's just pinned down immediately from whatever this Kartana wants to do. If it's that Grass Team Z coming out, or if it's just a really strong Leaf Blade, no Intimidate's landing onto this Kartana. That could pick up the KO even without the Z move.
And nope, just going to go straight for a Bloom Doom here. I kind of want to say that Andrew went for a Bloom Doom into that Landorus just to get the KO and remove that threat.
Yeah, it could be a really powerful move because then you just have your +1 Leaf Blade versus the Tapu Fini on the next turn. Especially if you don't know whether that Tapu Fini is Choice Specs, you could expect a Tapu Fini Protect, whereas the KO onto Landorus is maybe a little easier, but no, it does land the Tapu Fini, going to easily be the KO here.
Just wants to get some damage, or get the KO on the Tapu Fini, not allow it to maybe go for some Muddy Water accuracy drops. Maybe not even expecting Landorus over on Josh's side to be a big threat at all, even after it gets that Swords Dance boost, as Landorus on Josh's side going for a knockoff, going to connect on a Kartana, 50% thanks to not having any item knocked off, but the Landorus Therian from Andrews cannot connect with that Rock Slide.
Yeah, so now the Kartana free to go for that +1 Leaf Blade against this Landorus, then another Rock Slide from the other Landorus, and then whatever Tapu Lele wants to do in the back. We did already see it's faster than this Landorus. That's just too much damage. Joshua's got to be looking forward to Game 2.
Yep, and the Leaf Blade connects with Josh's Landorus Therian, and that is a easy one-hit KO. So now Andrew Boudreau is one win away from becoming the 2018 Portland Video Game Regional Champion. And he did that in a pretty strong fashion with a 3-0. Had really strong positioning throughout most of the game.
Yeah, he maybe had a couple moments there where it looked like he might be on the back foot, especially with that turn where the Heat Wave from Charizard came out and KO'd one Charizard and could have done a lot of damage to that Landorus. But yeah, for the most part, he always had the field advantage, always was the one threatening more damage. Kept things like that Togedemaru pinned down to just get a small chunk of damage off. I think Joshua's going to need to lead himself into a better position in this game too.
Here we go now, jumping into team preview of Game 2. And you got to remember, though, Game 1, all it took was just one switch to actually put Josh kind of more on the back foot in the opening stages of the game. You know, that Landorus Therian coming in, taking that Tectonic Rage, dropping that Intimidate onto the Togedemaru, not allowing it to KO that Charizard, which is actually really good information to Josh know that maybe if I just go for a Zing Zap straight up on that Charizard without Intimidate, I might get the KO.
Yeah. I think Snorlax and Cresselia are 2 Pokemon I'd like to see from Josh's side. Offers him that Trick Room mode that could be a nice way to deal with things like Kartana and Charizard and Landorus that are faster than a lot of the things he was trying to play with. We saw how much that speed advantage worked against him once Kartana, and you know, both in the early parts of the game where the Charizard was threatening the Heat Wave onto Togedemaru before it moved, and then at the end of the game where that Kartana was free to get 2 attacks off before getting hit twice.
And it's actually going to come down to mind games now. If you're Andrew, you kind of think to yourself, well, maybe now I should kind of load up on, you know, my Trick Room mode, because maybe Josh realizing that, you know, maybe if I try to take advantage of Trick Room, then that's it. So how are both these players going to adjust? it's jumping into game 2 now. Charizard and Cresselia, Pokemon leads for Josh, as Tapu Lele and Charizard are the leads for Andrew. So again, Cresselia with that Trick Room option here.
Yeah, we do see Cresselia hit the field for the first time for Josh, so threatening Trick Room straight off the bat. Does have to watch out for something like a Moonblast plus Overheat combination. That's a lot of damage even for Cresselia to have to take. Depending on its train, that might be enough to just KO. Of course, that would give the opportunity for the Charizard on Josh's side to attack. Nothing really preventing it from going for its own Heat Wave or Overheat towards Tapu Lele. So this could be a turn where just a lot of damage comes out towards both sides.
Yeah, and maybe there's some sort of positioning that either player might want to try to go for. Maybe if Andrew's expecting the Trick Room to come up, maybe he's sending that Amoonguss to be able to take advantage of that Trick Room and go for a Spore, but it looks like no switches here. It looks like the Charizard on Andrew's side is going to Mega Evolve. That might signify that it's faster, or it could just be a speed tie as well. Charizard on, or maybe just didn't Mega Evolve this turn, and just went for a Protect here.
As maybe take advantage of Solar Power.
Yeah, that's true. That is actually true. Looks like Josh's Charizard is going to go ahead and follow suit and Mega Evolve, though. And now Charizard on Josh's side is going to Protect, so that is probably a speed tie because of the way that the ordering went. Tapu Lele going for a Psychic into that Charizard Protect, not going to do any damage at all. As Andrew's Charizard using Heat Wave connects on that Cresselia here. Let's see how much damage that does. That does a lot of damage,
wow,
but because of the critical hit. And it looks like Cresselia is going to reveal that it does have access to Icy Wind, and that is going to slow things down a little bit.
Yeah, that should make that Charizard a lot easier to deal with on Andrew's side. Joshua now can be confident that his Charizard will move first, probably both at maximum speed for a Charizard, and so they were tied with each other. Now that Icy Wind dropping Charizard speed, making this a more manageable position. Tapu Lele should also be slower than Charizard now, and means you're free to attack. Probably don't actually have the KO on either of these Pokemon, and so you don't get all the advantage of that speed advantage if you don't actually prevent them from attacking. But if you can continue to manipulate your field position, get maybe another attacker in that allows you to KO one of these, or one or both of these before they move, that's really how you can take advantage of it.
And Cresselia on Josh's side using Helping Hand, that's one thing that was revealed too. That Tapu Lele is actually carrying Choice Scarf because it moved before those Charizards. Charizard now using that boosted Heat Wave does so much damage in the sun. It gets the KO on that Tapu Lele as it does about 50% to the Charizard over on Andrew's side, and it's going to be another Heat Wave. They're just going to trade Heat Waves here. Gets the KO on Cresselia. It does about 40% with a critical hit. So pretty much got a free Helping Hand Heat Wave on the Charizard.
Yeah, 2 big critical hits, allowing the KO onto Cresselia and then doing a lot of damage to this Charizard. Helping Hand being revealed on Cresselia, providing a way to get that Tapu Lele knocked out, really take advantage of your speed advantage. But losing Cresselia is a big blow, I think. You'd love to be hitting Icy Winds on things like that Landorus.
It looks like Landorus are going to go ahead and take the field. This is so reminiscent right now of VGC 2015 with all the Landoruses and with all of the Charizards. You know, it's such a strong combo here, even though both, well, Pokemon species cannot actually get any advantage from the terrain. So that's going to be a pretty big intimidate on those Landoruses there, but the Rock side should still be easily enough to get the KO on Charizard.
Yeah, I would expect that both Charizards are in the Rock Slide range, and both Landoruses should be able to get that Rock Slide off. The Overheat could maybe KO before they move. That's something to watch out for. I don't think I've seen the Overheat on Andrew's side yet, but we did see the Overheat on Joshua's side in the previous game.
And that's going to do so much damage. And again, the Charizard over on Andrew's side is actually at a disadvantage because it was Icy Winded earlier, dropping its speed stat by 1 stage. So
yeah, so it doesn't have the option to try to outspeed and KO that Landorus. Would have to take the Rock Slide first.
Yep, and Andrew realizing that that Charizard is not in good position at all. Going to switch out, going to send in Cortana, maybe expecting the Landorus to be able to go for a KO on the Charizard on Josh's side here as Charizard protects itself, and Landorus using knockoff from Josh's side, going to knock off the Assault Vest over on the Landorus area and over on Andrew's side, and it looks like the Rock side does land into the Landorus area on Josh's side. There's so many of the same Pokemon on the field.
That knockoff is such a great play because not only is it a really valuable chunk of damage, it's removing that Assault Vest that was really going to prevent Charizard from being able to do as much damage to Landorus as it would like. Now that Landorus is much more vulnerable to being KO'd before it moves. Cortana does hit the field, though, is going to be able to outspeed both the Charizard and the Landorus. Likely has no way to KO the Charizard. 4 times resisted Bloom Doom shouldn't be enough damage, but can definitely outspeed and KO this Landorus.
No protect, just straight up Bloom Doom here. Going to use the Bloom Doom, most likely going to try to connect on to the Landorus area over on Josh's side and get the KO.
But maybe allowing a Heat Wave for 2 KOs here. This is very risky. We'll have to see where this Bloom Doom is headed. I've got to imagine it's Landorus, though.
Oh, absolutely. And Andrew kind of has to hope for a Heat Wave miss, unless the Landorus variant on Andrew's side is trained very specially bulky, even without that Assault Vest. Easy one-hit KO on that Landorus variant. And, Heat Wave isn't the most reliable move. It's only, I believe, 90%, I believe. So it might miss here, but it connects on both Pokemon. Sun boosted. Is this enough to get the KO on Landorus Therian? It is not. So bulky of Landorus Therian here. And now can easily retaliate with a Rock Slide, a single target Rock Slide at that, doing so much damage. And again, even if it was spread damage, Charizard probably wouldn't have survived it, but that's just a big survival there from that Landorus Therian.
Yeah, that's really important that even without that Assault Vest, Landorus was able to hang on and get that Rock Slide off, leaving Joshua with just the one Pokemon against Andrews too.
And here we go. Charizard's going to go ahead and take the field again, and it looks like Snorlax is going to be the last Pokemon for Josh here. And one of the important things is you need to knock off that berry.
Yeah, knocking off the berry, just like knocking off the Assault Vest, was really valuable, and adding up that extra damage onto Landorus. Knocking off that Snorlax's berry, preventing it from healing, will be really valuable. If this Flamethrower just activates it, though, you won't get a chance.
Yep, and the Flamethrower does actually activate the berry, so you can't knock it off. But does Landorus Therian have any other way to do some big damage to the Snorlax? Landorus actually goes for the knockoff, but there's no berry to knock off, so that actually weakens the amount of damage that it does. Snorlax using Return here, going to connect on that Landorus Therian and get the KO. So,
wow, a situation where Charizard was just a little weaker and had done just a little bit less damage.
Or if that Sun faded just one turn ago.
This would be a much stronger position for Andrew, but instead does just enough to trigger that berry. Then knockoff comes in weaker, doesn't get a chance to knock off the berry, and so Charizard is sitting at nearly full health against this damaged Landorus. Even if one return's enough, two Flamethrowers shouldn't be enough either.
And it's not even Sun boosted anymore, so that's not going to be doing that much damage at all. Snorlax actually using his turn to recycle. Now, Andrew pretty much needs to hope for a critical hit here as Snorlax finds that Wiki Berry.
Or a burn. You can start reducing how much damage that recycle does, or rather that return does, and give you more chances to get that critical hit Flamethrower you need. But yeah, it's going to be really difficult because Snorlax can just keep healing itself with that recycle.
And here comes the Flamethrower. It connects on that Snorlax. Is it going to be a critical hit? Is it? No, it does not. But it is the burn, like you were saying.
Yeah, so that means that we're in for a longer game because Snorlax will take several returns to actually get this KO, and we'll keep taking that kind of chip damage from the. Wow, that's still a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Chip damage from burn. So yeah, and the next return should KO. So this is probably the last chance for a critical hit Flamethrower.
I think what he had to do here is he actually had to protect to get a little bit more burn damage just to hope that your critical hit can actually KO. So, again, you wish that Flamethrower was so much weaker, and there it is. There's the protect.
Yep, that's the protect just to get that extra bit of Flamethrower chip, but it allows the Snorlax to recycle. Shouldn't matter, though, unless Snorlax has a way to protect itself and get even another turn of burn chip so that it actually gets a chance to heal that berry. It should come down to this turn, the return versus the Flamethrower. Will the Flamethrower crit and get the KO, or will that 100% accurate return land on the Charizard and get the KO?
Yep, this is not like red, blue, yellow, where everything has a chance to miss. Heat Wave actually has a little bit more damage output here. Connects on that Snorlax. Is it a critical hit? No, it is not. And Snorlax just goes ahead and eats away at its bearing. Is going to be able to get the KO on this Charizard with that return. So here we go into Game 3 between these seniors. And, oh boy, this is an exciting set to watch.
Oh, yeah, it's so back and forth, so much damage coming out, these big trades. You really have to evaluate the value well of your Pokemon when you're deciding, is it worth giving up Cortana to KO Landorus? Is it worth giving up my Tapu Lele to get this extra damage Alpha into Cresselia? These are the kinds of trades that are made very quickly and have major effects over the rest of the game. And when that much damage is coming out, it can be really hard to evaluate each of those and make sure you really get the most value out of all of your Pokemon.
Oh boy. Andrew had the right pieces. He kind of positioned himself pretty well. It's just, when it came down to that Snorlax and that Landorus, the knockoff just a little late. You kind of wish at that point, you knocked off that berry first. Maybe what you could have done was protect that Charizard and just knock off the berry because it's important.
Especially if you think the Charizard would have been the bigger target. Didn't end up being, though, because the first return went into the Landorus. So if you had protected Charizard, you would have knocked off the berry, but then just gotten Landorus KO'd.
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, that could have played out so differently. But again, you have to remember that, these players have played a lot of Pokemon yesterday. They woke up early this morning to come down to the convention center. And, it's different when you're actually behind the hot seat there. There's a lot of championship points and money on the line here. So, you can't fault the players if they don't see all of the options. There's always something that can be missed. So,
Yeah, And then, like I was saying, I don't know that the Protect plus Knockoff would have necessarily been a better play. I don't think that would have ended up winning the game for Andrew either, because of where that return was being targeted. You end up in a really similar position, even playing it out that way. So not too big of a missed opportunity there, I don't think.
Here we go now. Game 3 between Josh versus Andrew. 2 players in the seniors division. Game 3. 2 pretty standard teams. Obviously, a couple of interesting techs here and there. You know, the Togedemaru is pretty cool to see. Over on Andrew's side, the Cortana is a Pokemon that we haven't seen much of. I do believe that Z Tailwind was a thing at some point, but that's not going to matter because we've already seen the really cool Bloom Doom animation. Charizard and Tapu Lele are the leads that Andrew decides to go with. Josh going to lead with the Cresselia and a Charizard as well. We know from the previous game that this Tapu Lele is Choice Scarfed. It outsped the Charizards. So
yeah, this is the same matchup we saw in the last game. Ended up just being a bunch of traded Heat Waves until both the Psychic types went down and the 2 Charizards were left on the field. We'll have to see.
Thanks to critical hits.
Thanks to critical hits, yeah, that Cresselia got its bulk really whittled away because of that big critical hit Heat Wave. Maybe if that doesn't happen and it's able to eat a berry and get even more healthy, it could have a much bigger impact on this game. Joshua won that last game despite that happening to Cresselia over the first couple turns. So if he can gain an even bigger advantage from a similar position by not getting critical hit, Andrew could be in trouble.
Charizard, over on Andrew's side, I believe, is going to Mega Evolve. No, it's actually the one on Josh's side. It is going to Mega Evolve, going to bring out the Drought, but again, it's going to be a speed fight between these 2 Charizards because of the interactions that we've already seen before in previous games and even right here. So Andrew's side is going to follow suit. It is going to go ahead and Mega Evolve as well. Last game, Andrew's Psychic went straight into Protect here, and it looks like Josh is going to follow suit. Just like in Game 2, going to protect itself here. As Tapu Lele goes for a Psychic, it is going to land in that Protect again. It's pretty safe to just try to get some damage there. And Charizard over on Andrew's side using Tailwind, going to try to double that speed and mitigate the amount from that Icy Wind, the speed reduction from that Icy Wind.
Yeah, revealing that 4th move we hadn't seen yet on Charizard, and actually ending up faster at the start of next turn than he was at the beginning of this turn because of that Tailwind. Even with this Icy Wind coming out, that means Tapu Lele and Charizard will be able to move before the Charizard on Joshua's side. And that Psychic plus Heat Wave might be enough to pick up the KO on Charizard. Could really change the course of this game compared to the last one. I mean, just that one bit of difference.
This is the finals, right? You got to bust out all your moves right now. And, you know, Andrew thinking to himself, well, if that's the exact same, then, well, Tailwind's going to be a better play than trying to Heat Wave crit that Cresselia. Of course, Cresselia can always reverse that Tailwind by setting up Trick Room or even going for another Icy Wind to drop that speed in 2. But it looks like Snorlax is just going to go ahead and hit the field anyways, and it looks like Trick Room might be coming up here as Psychic lands in that Snorlax. Big damage thanks to that Psychic Terrain, not enough to get the activate the berry. This is going to be pretty close here. Is it going to be enough to KO the Snorlax? In the sun, it is not. Snorlax heals right back up to 50% with that Pinch Berry, and it looks like Trick Room is going to be coming up.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see that at all with Snorlax switching out onto the field, and it does go up.
Yep, and now Snorlax is going to try to find opportunities in order to possibly set up or just try to spread some damage around for the Pokemon in the back of Josh's team to try to pick up some weakened Pokemon.
I think the speed control has been really interesting so far. We saw the Tailwind get countered with the Icy Wind, and so Joshua goes, well, if you are going to boost your speed, I'll just Trick Room, and we'll go with the slowest Pokemon moving first.
Snorlax using Recycle here, going to try to recycle that berry. Going to try to heal back up if it's another double target, as Cresselia over on Josh's side doesn't get the benefit of the Psychic Terrain because of that Levitate. Going to hit in that Charizard. Charizard now just trying to get some spread damage here. Going to go for a Heat Wave. It is going to go ahead and activate Snorlax's berry. Going to go ahead and heal back 50%, but Tapu Lele now is going to be able to move and spread some more damage out onto the field. Tapu Lele using Psychic here. Hits in that Snorlax. Again, more damage. If Snorlax goes for another berry, that might not be able to survive another Flamethrower and a Psychic.
Yeah, that's just so much damage coming out. That Sun-boosted Flamethrower, Psychic Terrain boosted Tapu Lele Psychic. Cresselia Psychic just not doing enough to counter back. You have the speed advantage, but you're not able to take control of it because these Pokemon are so offensive.
Charizard actually goes for a Protect here as Snorlax using Recycle because Josh is kind of thinking to himself, I need to keep this Snorlax out on field as much as possible. The Wiki Berry is going to heal it back 50%. I believe Andrew was actually just worried that the Charizard would get KO'd by a return and a Psychic straight up. And now here comes yet another Psychic Terrain boosted Psychic. It is going to land into the Snorlax. Going to bring it down to 72% as the Tailwind peters out. That actually might make the Charizard slower than that Cresselia at this point.
Yeah, it could be close. I would expect, since the Cresselia is Trick Room paired with this Snorlax, that it's probably still going to be able to move first. But if you are looking for something like that Psychic plus Return and you now don't know whether that Psychic would actually land before allowing the Flamethrower onto your Charizard, it's definitely something to worry about.
Yeah, Cresselia is actually a fairly decently speedy Pokemon. Snorlax now using Return on that Charizard does so much damage right there as Cresselia goes for his Psychic. It is going to underspeed that Charizard and get the KO on the Mega Pokemon over on Andrew's side. That's a big knockout. Now Tapu Lele is going to be able to move, going to use Psychic here. It is going to land in that Snorlax slot and get the KO. So really, Trick Room's going to expire soon anyway, so Snorlax is off the field. This is actually not that bad a position for Josh.
Yeah, not that bad of a position, but still a really important KO that Tapu Lele manages to get rid of that Snorlax. It has such staying power on the field with that Recycle and can be so useful in the Trick Room paired with this Cresselia, but he just had so much damage coming out, and without any boosts on that Snorlax, it didn't have the damage in response to prevent those massive attacks. And so now the Sun and the Psychic Train expire right as you got enough damage to finally get that Snorlax off the field.
Kartana going to take the field as Charizard hits the field. Charizard coming right back in. Well, that's kind of a tough break because Kartana really doesn't have anything to break that Charizard. A Sun-boosted Heat Wave or even an Overheat from that Charizard can easily get the KO on the Tapu Lele.
Well, yeah, and we saw the Helping Hand Heat Wave did to Tapu Lele before. The Sun comes back out for a full 5 turns now with Charizard hitting the field just as it expires. Even with the Trick Room still up, this is such a strong position for Joshua.
Tapu Lele switches out, going to save that train for a little bit later. Landers comes right back in. Can easily take an Icy Wind as well, or even might even take a lot of damage from the Sun-boosted Fire-type attack here. Charizard not following suit, but going to go for Protect instead. Going to try to see what Kartana can do as Kartana using Detect. I believe there's still one more turn of Trick Room, right? As Cresselia goes for an Icy Wind, or did the Trick Room already expire?
I think it will expire right here.
Okay, well, that's a very great Icy Wind right there to try to slow things out as the Trick Room expires. Now, yep, there you go. The Twisted Dimensions do return to normal, so...
Yeah, both players on top of their Trick Room turns. That Landorus trying to get in for the Icy Wind dropped Choice Scarf Tapu Lele, so that came back on the field. It would both bring its Psychic Train with it and its full speed, take advantage of that Choice Scarf. But Landorus switches in, takes the Icy Wind for a relatively small chunk of damage for being 4 times super effective, but does get its speed dropped. Kartana, though, managed to protect itself from the Icy Wind, so that now with the Trick Room expired, it should be the fastest thing on the field, threatening maybe a Bloom Doom versus this Cresselia.
And it looks like Landorus there and is going to come in. That's going to be a big Intimidate if you're Josh to kind of reduce the amount of damage. Landorus Therian over on Josh's side might be able to take a Bloom Doom here as the attack stats do drop, and it looks like Bloom Doom is going to go ahead and activate. I believe Charizard on Josh's side is at full health. A lot of Charizards are probably trained to survive Landorus Therian Rock Slide after being Intimidated as well, so that's going to be, again, a very critical Intimidate.
This Landorus may also be able to survive the Bloom Doom after the Intimidate. We saw it from full strength KO the Landorus in an earlier game, but we'll have to see now after the Intimidate.
Oh, it hangs on with just 9 hit points.
9 HP.
And Charizard following suit with the Heat Wave here, going to hit into that Kartana, easy 1-hit KO, but Landorus hangs on with a little under 50% and a big burn. Such a big burn.
That's huge.
Wow. That's going to not do any damage at all. Charizard actually straight up avoids the attack. Oh. Gets the KO on the Landorus, but you really want to get some spread damage on that Charizard right there.
Yeah, you really needed damage on the Charizard. You're definitely glad you at least get the 1 KO into Landorus, but now you're trying to figure out how you KO the Charizard because Landorus is stuck on the field with its Intimidate, with its Burn. 2 Rock Slides shouldn't be enough to actually get the KO onto this Charizard. And Charizard will be faster, has a couple turns left of the Sun to go for those big Heat Waves. Tapu Lele, if that Rock Slide had landed, Tapu Lele Choice Scarf Psychic might have been enough to KO Charizard, but because it didn't, you don't even have that option. So that means Helping Hand plus Heat Wave can come out and probably just get the KO on both of these. The Psychic will come out first, but it shouldn't be enough.
Unless there's a critical hit, there's always that chance here. So it's going to come down to these final 2 Pokemon, but that burn, that was such a big burn, and the Avoid too. So
yeah, the Avoid I think is even bigger than the burn. Even a very weak Rock Slide would have been enough to put Charizard into Tapu Lele Psychic range.
Charizard going to protect. It looks like Cresselia might just go for an Icy Wind here just to slow down this Tapu Lele, but of course Icy Wind isn't 100% accurate as well. It does connect on both Pokemon. That should actually seal the deal. There's no chance for Tapu Lele to try to outspeed that Charizard and go for a Psychic boosted by the train with a critical hit. So well played positioning from Josh.
Yeah, now it just comes down to Heat Wave hitting.
And that did no damage to that Cresselia, even though it knocks off the Mago Berry. Intimidate, Burn, bulkiness of Cresselia. So many things just factoring into that low damage output.
Yeah, maybe a less offensive Landorus. We've seen the Assault Vest. We saw how well it took the heat wave even after losing its assault vest. So definitely trained to be pretty specially defensive there, just not providing the damage it needed to against Cresselia. But not that Cresselia is the big threat here. It's Charizard. You've got to get off the field. I just don't see how it happens unless you start stacking up those heat wave misses.
Yep, and it looks like that might do it here. It looks like Josh is just a couple turns, maybe just one turn away from being crowned the 2018 Portland VGC Regional Champion here. Just strong positioning from Josh in this moment, and Cresselia just gonna go for a helping hand here. That might be it, and it looks like the heat wave comes out. It connects, hits both, and that should do it.
Yep,
Joshua Stewart is your 2018 Portland VGC Regional Champion in the seniors division. So well played set from both players. You know, the senior division top 4 and the seniors finals was actually two really strong sets.
Yeah, 2 really well played sets. 2 really interesting matchups. We saw the dynamic of the Trick Room versus the Snorlax and Charizard on Joshua's side in the first match, and then it was Joshua's Trick Room trying to come up against the Charizard on the other side. 2 really interesting games, and barely manages to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, both these players, I mean, Josh already probably has a massive amount of championship points, and I'm sure Andrew does as well. That just is a testament to how these 2 players are, and we saw it in their play. You know, they both played exceptionally well. You know, they're both just in the seniors division, and I don't know when exactly they'll age up to the Masters division, but I think they'll be just fine with the, you know, high caliber play that we saw from both players. In terms of just like, not even just team building, you know, these are 2 solid teams from both players, but also, you know, their understanding of board position. I mean, they were just doing some pretty smart plays in that set.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, but when we come back, well, guess what? It's time for the Masters division here. All top 8 matches from the Masters division. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.